Okay, so 3, 2, 1. Hi, guys. Welcome back to Duality with bobdub. It is the 23rd of February here in New Zealand, and I am joined once again today by Roger Hansen of Roger Hansen Live. Hey, Roger, how are you today?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for asking.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we have a very interesting episode lined up today. So far, we have taken a look at the relationship between masculinity and femininity, and we have said how that is a cooperative dance between these two forces, this force of rationality and the force of love or nurturance, and how we both have both of those essences within us, that we try to use both of them to achieve a good and ideal life. And then last week, episode 4, we took a deep dive into the duality of man, and we looked at man's tendencies to be separate and to find unity. And today, Roger and I have decided to look deeply at the Zoroastrian religion and their concept of good and evil, because it's quite different, I think, from the Western understanding. And it really adds a dimension to the concept of duality and maybe even illuminates it in a way that our traditions don't. So, Roger, thank you again for joining us on this and for being the expert. You yourself know quite a bit about Zoroastrianism, don't you?
Well, I have a basic idea of it. Zoroastrianism, being honest, most of the people who know a lot about them are like college professors. That's really the best way of saying it. I mean, it's a really complex way of thinking. Like back during the time of Jesus and everything, the Zoroastrians were the equivalent of the three wise men when they talk about the birth of Jesus. So,
Right.
and these were also referred to as the Magi,
Yes.
the origins of magic, all of that. So, um, their beliefs were very complex, and they were considered very wise because of the way they thought and well, their train of thought basically, and how their religion blended into all that. So just
Yes.
just to let everybody know, this isn't light work. I mean, if you're really interested in Zoroastrianism, it's a deep dive period. I mean, you're going to be researching it and finding out new things.
Yes. It sounds to me like it's a very, very idealistic. No, that's not the right way to say. There is a very big component of idealism in Zoroastrianism. The basic concept is that ultimate truth is this idealized reality. Is that right?
I best or the better word for me to use would be there's a Zoroastrians, they allow you to see the world through certain abstract concepts. So it's
Uh-huh.
more of an abstract or different abstract concepts, like through poetry, through freaking art, things of that nature. You know what I mean? That's more along the lines of how I'd put it. It's very interesting how all of it blends together. You know.
Yeah, yeah. So today we're just doing a very brief overview just to give a sort of a general idea. But the details are much, much more complex, and we can't cover it all just in one show.
Right.
Right. So I know nothing at all about Zoroastrianism. So it's going to be very interesting for me. Who was it who set this up? Is there an original like prophet or something that you have in the Zoroastrianism
Well,
way of thinking?
if it, I, I'm not Zoroastrian, so I'm not offended by saying this, but it might offend some people who do believe in it. But I can go ahead and say it because I've done the research. Okay,
Yeah.
but Z- Zarathustra was the person who originally came out with a lot of the concepts that created Zoroastrianism. But Zoroastrianism actually goes back to an origin which connects Zoroastrianism with Hinduism. It also connects it with freaking a lot of the Greek belief systems, and that origin is originally Indo-European or slash Indo-Aryan, which was the ancient word for Indo-European. So, like when you hear the word Indo-European, that's where what they're talking about. These are this is a belief system that evolved and became Zoroastrianism, just like Hinduism wasn't originally Hinduism. It evolved from Indo-European belief systems too. So and you can find a lot of Greek mythology, and which I don't like saying mythology, the Greek religions. You
Yeah.
you can see a lot of their beliefs coming out of the Indo-Europeans too. So that
Gosh, that's fascinating.
that's where it actually originated from. But Zarathustra was the one who started the Zoroastrian religion.
So he sort of took those basic fundamental concepts and he refined them into this way of thinking.
Right. He he
That's
he created what was called the Gothas, or the Gothas.
oh,
I
the
don't know.
gods, right. So that's sort of like the basic Bible. I don't know, what would you call it? Holy scriptures of the religion?
Yeah, the Yasna. It's the Zoroastrian liturgy. Now
Aha.
they're arranged in five different modes or meters, however you want to call it. Um,
Yes.
now they, like I said, they have different modes, and the structures is what is it? Ahanazati,
Mhm.
Ashtavati, uh, Sinta Menu, and Vohu Vistragatha. And then you have Vahishto Ishti, which is probably mispronounced. I'm not very good with pronunciation. I think I've said this before, but I want to re-say what I meant before. But the Ahanavati Gatha, it has 100 stanzas, three
Mhm.
verses, seven plus nine syllable meter. And then the Ashtavati, it's having happiness is what that is, and it has 66 stanzas, five verses, four plus seven syllable meter. Then
Hmm.
then you have the Spinta Menya Gautha, and that is bounteous spirit, and that has 41 stanzas, four verses, four plus seven syllable meter. Then the Vahu Yashathra, and that's good dominion. That has 22 stanzas, 3 verses, 7 plus 7 syllable meter. And then Vahishtu Ishti Gatha, and that's best beloved, and that has 9 stanzas, 4 verses, 2 of 7 plus 5, and 2 of 7 plus 7 plus 5 syllables.
Gosh.
Yeah.
So that's poetry. That's quite strict poetry. It's not just stories.
Mm-mm.
That's interesting. So why do you know why he chose to give his teachings in poetry? Is that got something to do with how he thought
Well,
about the world?
this goes back to what we were talking about in the earlier episodes when I mentioned Zoroastrian at first. Okay, the strange thing about Zoroastrianism and why I'm so fascinated about it is because, like, when you read like the basic writings of Zoroastrianism, you can and you know what you're looking for. You can find the female aspects written into the literature, okay? Into the original literature of Zoroastrian, even though what they're saying is the masculine aspects, you know what I'm saying? So you have a blend of the feminine and the masculine going on there.
Can you give me an example of that?
Oh God.
How exactly?
Well, poetry
Right.
is a perfect example. You know what I mean? And the the beauty of poetry and art and everything like that. I mean that's straight uh, the feminine aspects. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then you have well. The virtues, we went over the virtues with the Christian virtues, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
things of that nature. Now for me where it gets complicated is what we were discussing last week when it comes to the difference between duality and dualism, you know what I mean, because that's
Mhm.
the best I can make out of it is dualism is when things get frustrating,
Right.
you know,
Right.
so
Hmm. So, in one of the very first episodes, when we just first touched on the idea of Zoroastrianism, you mentioned that they had a different concept of good and evil.
right.
We have this idea in our culture that love will always win and good is more powerful than evil.
Mm-hmm.
But from the Zoroastrian view, I think you said that both are equal in the duality. There isn't one that's more important than the other.
Right. Now, with Zoroastrian, let me also point out too that the one deity that stands above all the other ones is Ahura Mazda. Okay,
Right.
so when when you when it comes to understanding this, you have to understand that Ahura Mazda created what's been referred to as the ideal world. Okay, and the I believe he called it Asha. All right. So Ahura Mazda created Asha through his mind, and that's the ideal world, which is from his mind, which means it hadn't been introduced into the material world. Okay.
Mm.
It was created purely through thought, and the ideal world is the perfect world where frickin' there's nothing that's in conflict with one another. You know what I mean? There's no chaos. All
So
right.
there's no duality there. It's just perfect unity.
Right.
Interesting.
And you and Otto were talking about that on your episode, which I don't want to be like a scene stealer or nothing, but I'm going to do it because I'm a rebel like that. So. But
Do it. Do it.
but you got you guys were talking about wanting to go directly to the source. You know what I mean? And he was explaining to you from his perspective what you were doing. Okay. Now, in Zoroastrian, in your comment section, I mentioned it that what they call that is the good mind. Okay.
Right.
And
Okay.
and the good mind is the goodness. That's where you focus on the good. Where Otto was telling you that if you focus on the good, then you're going to be more likely to be influenced in that direction. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Now,
Yes.
that's a Hindu belief, but it links to the Zoroastrianism, and both of those go back to an original belief system that's Indo-European.
Mm.
You see what I
Mm.
mean?
Yes.
So that is the equivalent of good, and it can go the other direction too with evil. There's evil people on the planet who wanted to do evil things,
Hmm.
and the reason why they wanted to do evil things was because they were focusing on the evil aspects.
Interesting. Gosh, how interesting. So, was Ahura Mazda, was he like the equivalent of Zeus, the king of the gods?
He would be the guy that took Zeus for walks. He would be the one that put Zeus on a leash and walked him around the block.
I see, I see.
Now,
Oh, okay.
Zeus would be the equivalent of the spirits that um, are in the material world that influence Asha. Now,
Right.
see, the ideal world is in Zarathustra's mind, and he introduced it into the material world. And what happened was is the moment it was introduced into the material world, then the then the ideal world became corrupt. It became tainted because of the spirits that were in the material world. Some supported Asha and some opposed Asha.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
so that's where
Yes.
you get the conflict and you get reality. What's real?
So Zarathustra, in his mind, created the Asha.
Right.
Is that right? So who was Ahura Mazda? Was Ahura Mazda outside of Asha? Or was he created when Zarathustra created Asha?
Now, he is the creator deity, and he's supposed to be god of the sky.
Okay.
He's god of the sky in the ancient Iranian religion of Zoroastrianism. That's where it comes from. Is Iranian, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of lot of lot of people don't understand like the idea or the name Iran is actually originally Aryan, okay,
Wow.
and it was changed over time to Iran, but Indo-European, Indo-Aryan. That's where the term Aryan came from, and I think we had the conversation the other week about Nietzsche. Uh, he really did get into Zoroastrianism, and him, like the term Aryan, got or he got vilified because of World War II. And last week, I know I kept saying World War One, and I always end up doing that, but I wanted to clear it up too this week that I meant World War II. You know what I mean?
Two, right, yes.
But
Yes.
but but they both got vilified. So when most people hear those terms, they think bad thoughts about them. And the truth of the matter is these words go back a lot farther. You know what I mean? It's not
Mm.
so. But anyhow, that's where it comes from. Is from Iran. Now, he, he's the first uh, uh, one and most frequent one to invoke uh, spirit in the yasna. Okay, and the yasna is let me see the literal meaning on the word ahura means lord, and then Mazda means wisdom. Okay, so that's basically what it comes down to. So you've got Ahura Mazda. Ahura means Lord Wisdom.
Yeah.
So
So the Lord of Wisdom. Right.
yes,
So the Lord of Wisdom and the ideal environment, the unity is truth.
right,
And the
exactly.
Lord of Wisdom rules in the kingdom of truth, so to speak.
Yeah, and
Wow.
that's the whole purpose, but behind the concept of Asha. Okay, because Asha by itself automatically, I mean, that's what it says. It means Asha means truth.
Right. Yes. Okay. So is this why you were talking about the Gathas? Is it Gathas?
Mm-hmm.
Those poems.
Yes.
Is this why this religion is explained in poetry? Because it's these abstract concepts.
Yes. And then
Hmm.
they they go even farther. The and I'm not too familiar with their belief system on this, but like they have they're the ones who started the eternal flame spark. You've ever heard of that before,
Yes.
that
Yes.
that came from Zoroastrianism. As a matter of fact,
Huh.
they have temples where they have fires that supposedly have burned for like 2,000 years, where priests feed them
Good.
fuel to keep them going. So,
Wow. An undying fire.
yes, I, I
So,
don't I don't know for sure if they actually kept the fire going because accidents can happen,
mm,
but
but wouldn't that be cool, hey, to have a 2,000-year-old fire?
yeah. So
It makes you think, doesn't it? It like just to have. It must be amazing to go there and stand in the presence of a 2,000-year-old fire.
yeah,
It must open your mind up to all sorts of possibilities
yeah.
of thought, of understanding.
hmm And now, the word Asha, like I said, means truth. Okay. Now, the
What?
notion of truth is the totality of division of ideal existence in the relationship of all things in perfect harmony, so that nothing occurs at the expense of something else. All right.
Mhm.
And that is also connected to the idea world. All right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
uh, nothing occurs at the expense of something else. So you don't freaking no in the ideal world. You don't kill somebody because that's going to take away their life, and it'll also freaking affect their family. It'll also,
Hmm.
what I mean, things like that. So in this ideal world, nothing occurs at the expense of something else or someone else.
Yes, yes. So the the idea that something harms something else, is that what we would consider sin? Like something that's damaging? Is
That
that the badness, the evil?
yeah, that's the evil. That is that. Well, we said good, and then we said evil. So
Yes.
when you think of good, you think of the the good mind, and you think of
Mm-hmm.
the ideal, world. Okay, or yeah,
Yeah. The perfect
but
state of
right, and in the material world, that ideal world is tainted by spirits that don't or that oppose Asha.
that oppose Usher. Right.
They oppose the truth, and in in good in the good mind and the ideal world, there everything's in perfect harmony. You know what I mean? The notion of
Mm-hmm.
truth and and the relationship of all things is in perfect harmony. Like I just said, you know what I mean? Whereas when it comes to the bad and the evil things, that's when the ideal world meets the material realm, and all of a sudden, these spirits that oppose Asha are in conflict with it. You know what I mean? So, um,
Yeah.
when it comes to that, I don't know if you would call it sin as much as just things that happen that oppose the ideal world. You know what I mean?
Mm,
So I
mm, mm.
I don't know how their thoughts were on that when it comes to
Mm.
sin. To be honest with you, that
Interesting.
is a very tricky thing to say. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't even know for sure if the Zoroastrians believed in sin.
Yeah.
I know they believed in good and evil, but I don't know if the
Yeah.
truth. So
I don't even know if we in our culture even know what sin means.
yeah.
It's taken to mean so many things, but like what really is it? There's good stuff and there's not good stuff. I think it's very interesting how he defines here. He defines goodness and as being ideal and
Mm-hmm.
existing in your mind as an abstract. It's almost as if in the material world you just find little glimpses of it. You aren't really able to encounter real truth here in the material world because it's all contaminated by these, you say, the forces that work against truth.
Mm-hmm. And think about that on a serious level, like on your everyday life to life experiences. Okay, like I mean, this is real stuff. This is stuff you can actually relate to when it comes to your way of thinking and your mind. You know, like with me, I have this ideal world in my head,
Mm,
but when I start to put it into practice, all of a sudden things frustrate that and things come into conflict with what my idea world is. You know what I mean? So all of a sudden I have to adjust and I have to freaking change and change my thinking because apparently my ideal world doesn't work,
right.
you know?
Yes. In this material realm,
Right.
we would have to be in that world of the mind, but maybe that's where we go after we leave these bodies. Maybe we go to that ideal place.
Maybe it
Maybe.
could be a good. It could be a good, good. It sounds pretty good actually.
So there are three things, I think. There are three, well, I don't know what you would call them, things. There's the divine essence of truth, the good mind, and the spirit of righteousness. Are those the three things that make up the Asha? The divine essence of truth would be like the concept of what the world was made up of. The good mind, is that our tendency to want to do good things?
The good mind is, well, we were talking about it just now. Like in your episode, you were talking with Otto about wanting to just cut out the middleman and go to the main source. Right. When it comes to searching out, the truth and searching out God. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And you were talking about all these other deities. Okay. Now, Otto was telling you, like, if you focus on the good, then your mind is in a place where you're more than likely well, how did he put it? He says it a lot better than what I could. But you're more you're in a place where you're more likely able to attract goodness. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
Right.
so when you're in that good mind and doing good things are going to happen and good things are going to be around you. You know what I mean? That's the good mind. You create the goodness within your life by having that good mind.
Okay. So would that be then, I don't know, that's making me think of like what the hippies used to say was good vibrations.
Well,
Like,
I'm not a hippie. You know what I mean? I've been called a lot of things for talking about this stuff. Don't call me no hippie.
no, I'm just trying to say that, like, does the good mind, it sounds to me like the good mind sort of means like making good vibrations, making good thoughts, focusing on, I don't know what Otto would call, I think, the realm of the devas.
Yeah, that would. I believe that's what you guys were talking about too. The Devas, weren't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the Devas in Zoroastrianism would be the spirits that promote Asha. Okay.
Ah,
Now
right.
they're the ones that are for the goodness, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. 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 So
The
the one,
Go ahead.
yeah, sorry, go on.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, are there spirits like demons that fight against the Asha?
Yeah. These
Um,
those there's two forces or vectors, okay? The spirits that promote Asha and the spirits that frustrate Asha.
yes.
This is the dualism between good and evil. This is what the evil or the spirits that frustrate Asha are what taints freaking the ideal world, the world that was created within the mind of Ahura Mazda.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
whenever you're going through your day-to-day life and you're feeling frustration, that is being caused because of the evil spirits that are frustrating truth in your mind.
Mm. Mm.
You see what I mean? The things that are blocking you from the truth.
Yes. Yes. So it seems to me from what you're saying that it's sort of like our responsibility to to have the good mind in ourselves, to create it for ourselves.
Yeah,
Or
I
get into
believe that is. I believe that that's really what it comes down to when it when you're talking about Zoroastrianism. I think that uh, that each person should at uh, look at the world as a moral reality. You know what I mean? It's about our morals, and what we want in our life, like the good. If you want good things to happen in your life, then you need to focus on the good things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the bad things will happen, but that doesn't mean that you stay stuck in the bad. You know what I mean? There's always a way out. You just have to look for it. And I've had experiences in my past where I've had bad things happening. Okay, but there was always a way out. There was always somebody around that had a good heart. You know what I mean? Or stories that I could listen to that had a positive twist to things.
Mm-hmm.
So
I see. Aha. So that's the good mind,
right.
searching out those positive things that see you through.
Exactly. At least that's my interpretation of it. And
Mm.
a lot of even in today's world, a lot of people like to call it moral psychology. You know,
Yes.
that's a good way of looking at it too. It's that's what it comes down to, moral psychology. For everything that's good, there's something that's opposite to it, and everything that's bad, there's something that's opposite. You know,
Mm.
and
Mm.
I seriously believe that two opposites can occupy the same space. So
Right.
so
Yes.
if you have something bad that's going on in your life, then you need to replace that with the good, something that's good to take its
Mm.
place, because they
Mm.
both can occupy the same space.
Mm.
That's both physical and mental.
So, for people listening to this who have encountered negative stuff and stuff that's dragging them down and hardships and trauma and dramas and those things that tend to make life so miserable, what would Zoroastrianism advise a person like that to do practically in order to find this good mind?
Well, first, one thing I have to say, and this is my take on it, and it kind of blends into what we're talking about with the good mind, okay? But
Mm.
first, what I got to say is, you're not responsible for the things that happened yesterday, a week ago, a month ago, a year ago. Okay, you're responsible for what's happening right here and right now. Like me and you, we're having this conversation, and we're in the now. So this is what we're responsible for. Okay, that's very important for people to understand. What's happened has happened. Now this is where we can either freaking stay in that, or we can change our thinking and we can focus on the good. Okay, you don't have to stay stuck in the stuff that happened to you in the past. Those times have passed you, and what's important is what are you doing today. Okay, not back then. What are you doing today? And what you do today determines how good your day tomorrow is going to be.
That is so amazing. That sounds very similar to me to the Buddhist idea of karma.
That's exactly what it is. And
Oh, right.
that's the masculine aspects as well. Uh,
Right.
and we all have a a responsibility to ourselves. Okay. Now, a lot of people hate that. They hate being told that they have to be morally responsible. But
Mm-hmm.
the thing of it is it's like, okay, everybody loves to talk about, oh, I love this person and I love that person and I love this person, but nobody ever freaking wants to talk about how they love themselves. Now, if you can't love yourself, then you can't love anybody else. Okay? So first you have to learn how to love yourself before you can properly learn how to love other people or other things. if you don't take care of yourself first and show yourself love, then you're not going to be able to freaking show love to another human being.
So it's really about taking responsibility for yourself and treating yourself with kindness and compassion
And love. It's
and love.
it's an inside job.
Wow.
And that, I've been saying it's an inside job since we started doing all this streaming stuff. I mean, and everybody just kind of like blows it off like, yo, whatever, whatever, you know. And it always pops up whenever we're talking about love too, like, because like what really gets me is like everybody thinks like these outside forces are what creates love. You know what I mean? Like this woman, she came up to me and she just had the beautifulest eyes. I fell in love. Yeah, you know, I mean, like her beautiful eyes are what influenced me to where I freaking fell in love. No, you felt love genuinely within yourself. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't necessarily mean she reciprocates. Like it doesn't necessarily mean she loves you too. You know what I mean? Like, it could be a one-way street, but you still felt love.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, you know what I mean? And then there's people that'll even go farther. Well, since she didn't love me, it wasn't really love. Yeah, it was really love. It's just you're the only one that felt it.
Yes.
You know,
Yes. It just wasn't a relationship.
right? It wasn't a two-way street.
Yeah.
You know, we all feel that, and it's what I said. You know, because I really don't want to go off topic too much, but I just what I was getting at was it's an inside job. It's within
That job.
yourself.
Yes.
And
Yes.
if you're not able to freaking learn how to love yourself, then you're not going to be able to properly love somebody else. So first you need to learn how to love yourself and then learn to love other people.
Mm. Mm. So let's take a little moment to examine love a little bit more deeply. Because when people talk about love these days, it's not actually popular to talk about love. People talk about compassion. But compassion is all the mushy things, the feeling things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all the feminine aspect of it. But what you're saying here, well, what I think you're saying here, is that there's a very strong masculine component to love, which
Mm-hmm.
is about doing.
Hold on a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, keep on talking.
Yeah.
I just have to mute.
Yeah, you carry on. So, what I'm understanding from this discussion that we're having here this morning is that it seems to me that there's a very strong emphasis here on a type of innate ability to recognize what goodness is. And goodness seems to be aligned in this way of thinking with truth. And that seems to be aligned with morality, responsibility, and doing things that don't harm other people, which I think is very interesting. Not you, viewers, you stay here.
Yeah. Okay, I got rid of him. He just kept sitting there talking and talking and talking. So, but yeah, I was listening, and yeah, that's basically what the whole concept of it is. Like, and I believe people have like a really messed up concept of what love is. Like you said, they get caught up in the the well, I'm not going to say the mushy stuff. We the like well, you know how we were talking about nature. Nature has both a male and a female aspect.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
people fall in love with the sight of the sunshine or a sunrise or a sunset
Yeah.
because it looks beautiful. That's the female aspects. The
Yes.
the male aspects would be the underlying effects, the things that are in play that you can't see. All right.
Mm.
So
Mm.
you take that and you look at it when it comes to love. Love has both a male and a female aspect, which uh, one part is the the beauty of it, the beauty of love. Everybody loves to be in love. You know what I mean?
Mm.
The thought of being in love. But
Yes.
but there's underlying things, okay? Like all of a sudden you have to freaking spend time with this other person. You have to freaking listen to them and actually freaking care about what it is that they're talking about. You know what I mean? So
Mm. Mm.
that's something that a lot of people don't want to do. There's that's the morality behind it. So um, you get into an area, especially where men don't want to hear about it. Like we've actually had these conversations, and it's amazed me some of the comments that I've gotten from it. You know, because I'm a male saying these things, having these conversations with you. You know what I mean? It's
Mm.
okay for you to say it, but I'm saying it, and all of a sudden I become freaking a person who's homosexual and freaking supports transgender, freaking blah blah
Wow.
blah. Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Gosh.
you know,
Gosh.
and that has absolutely nothing to do with the conversation that me and you are having whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
um, that that is what I think is the real big problem is people don't really want to hear it because it hits soft spots within their own being. Like it's okay for them to say that they love their kids, but then treat them like crap. You know what I
Mm.
mean? So you can say you love somebody and then just treat them like crap, and it's okay because you love them.
Mm. You said the L word, yeah. So it's interesting because I have a different experience being a woman. I
Mm-hmm.
find that if I speak to women about personal responsibility and doing the right thing and say things like compassion isn't enough, then they come down like a ton of bricks on me and
Yeah.
say how I'm unloving and I'm oh yeah, all sorts of horrid things that they say.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting that there's this. I mean, we're having this conversation, a man and a woman, talking about masculinity and femininity, and also having experienced opposite sides of the spectrum in our quest to try and discuss this with other people out there in the world.
And see
Fascinating.
that that is the little bit that I could understand when it comes to like the duality and the dualism. You know, I got a kick out of Do Better last week because he thinks like duality and dualism is like freaking winning the lottery and stuff, I kept quiet about it, but I'm like, no, that's not it. You know what I mean? I've heard a lot of people use the stuff that he was talking about in relating to things like synchronicity and and what he was discussing was like it was luck, you know what I mean, stuff like that.
Oh, oh, interesting.
Coincidence and synchronicities, those are the things that what he was talking about. But like with duality and dualism, it's like when it comes to the frustrations that are going on in your life, in your day-to-day life, you know what I mean, there's a dualism going on there. Something is frustrating you that's going against what you believe.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So So that's the closest I could come to it. I know that when it comes to Zoroastrianism and what we were talking about with these spirits, okay, like there's Asha. There's the spirits that oppose Asha, and then the spirits that support it. And Asha is supposed to be truth. Okay, so
Yes.
these so when these spirits that support Asha are closest to you, then you're going to not have any frustrations. But like when these spirits that oppose Asha are closest to you, you're going to feel frustration. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Mhm.
so when when it comes to having these conversations and talking about these things and we get frustrated, there's if you go according to the Zoroastrianists, you 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 you're being frustrated because of spirits that are opposed to the
Opposed
truth.
to the truth.
They
And
don't want. Go ahead.
I love it how Ahura Mazda is the Lord of Wisdom,
Mm-hmm.
because that seems to say that this integration of the masculine side and the feminine side is wisdom. And that's what we should seek in order to understand wisdom and understand ourselves and attain this truth and unity and this very big ideal, is this wisdom of the integration of masculinity and femininity
And they should be working together, not opposed.
together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they should be working together and not in conflict. If they were in conflict, then that would be dualism. That would be,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So.
Mm-hmm. All
Uh,
right, so this is a little bit, what I want to ask is a little bit different from what we've been discussing, but it just occurs to me that some people say that there is no such thing as evil, actual evil. What there is that there's good, and then opposed to good is not good, like
mhm.
emptiness, like no effort to being good. So in your life, you say that you're not responsible for what happened. Even though it's been bad, even though bad things have happened, you can just let it go
Well,
and not have to worry about it and just focus on good, this goodness that actually is.
now, when you do that, you have to also use common sense and discern things like if these situations are affecting your life, okay, in a physical way, then yeah, you have to deal with them, okay? But if they aren't affecting you in a physical manner where you have to take care of it or something bad's going to happen, then you need to let it go. It's about surrendering, and it's about freaking moving on, and,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
there's a process that you have to go through in life. You know what I mean? And holding on to something that is not good for you is going to cause you physical harm. Period. So there has to be a point in a person's life where they said, enough is enough. I want something better. I mean,
Mhm.
you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and if you can't do that, then what's going to happen is your life is going to get worse. It's going to get
Mhm.
it's going to be horrible, and you're going to wake up every day in misery, go to bed at night every day in misery, and nobody wants to live that life. Nobody.
No, 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 no.
You know.
Especially those of us who have lived it.
Right.
We would to save other people from having to find it out for themselves. Yes, yes.
So I mean,
So, yeah, carry on.
that that's all mostly me running my mouth too. I'm not like spouting off Zoroastrian beliefs or anything. That's stuff that I learned from experience, and
Yes.
I'm just that right there is pretty much me. That's not Zoroastrianism.
But I think
I just
for
wanted to,
me, in my
I
opinion,
wanted to
yes,
I wanted to
good.
make that clear. You know what I mean?
Yes. But even though, I mean, there is sort of like, because of your experience and because of the negative things that happened in your life, you searched for a way of goodness. You
Mm-hmm.
searched for something and you found Zoroastrianism in your search. So there is something that says that your experience informs your current belief.
Well, with my belief, I mean, like I'm not a Zoroastrian, um,
Yeah.
and I don't claim to be a Christian or a Muslim or anything like that. But
Yeah.
there's certain aspects of these religions that I know are real deep when it comes to spiritual principles.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
now there's reasons why every one of these religions have these beliefs and these spiritual principles within them. You can find them everywhere. Okay, the stuff
Yeah.
that we've been discussing, you can find them in every single religion.
Yes.
And when you were talking to Otto the other day and saying you want to go to the source, that's kind of what I learned. I learned that you don't have to fuss over this stuff that's in Christianity and this stuff that's in Christianity. You can go straight to God.
Yeah.
There's a direct channel between you and God. And
Yes.
the same goes for anybody who's Buddhist. The same goes for anybody who's freaking Muslim. Same
Mm-hmm.
goes for anybody who's Hindu. Anybody
Mm-hmm.
who's Zoroastrian, and it's a part of the good mind, and what we were talking about with that, you know what I mean, and the virtues when it comes to Christianity, what we did on that video. Okay, those things right there, I can guarantee you that if you do those things, just try them, something good is going to happen in your life. I know, and it's not because of my teachings, it's because I had to do that in order to sober up.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so
Yes.
I know it works. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
that's the truth for me because I know it works. I've actually experienced it.
Mm. The Asha.
Right,
Yeah.
and
Well, Roger, that is fantastic. That is such an interesting conversation that we have had. And I mean, it raises all these questions about absolute truth and meaning and goodness and spirituality and all these desires that we have to be good people. So I am really now looking forward to the next episode. But unfortunately, we have run out of time today.
okay.
So, just once again, thank you very, very much for your time and your insight and the love that you bring to share these experiences of yours with our audience who also are searching and looking for Asha or truth. And so, before we go, do you have anything that you'd like to say just to round off our discussion today?
All I can say is I know life's hard, but try to work through it and remember that for everything there's an opposite, and two opposites can't occupy the same space.
Thank you. Thank you very much for those very wise words. And thanks, guys, for listening. It's been wonderful having you with us today. It really is an honor and a privilege to be able to sit here and know that we are connecting with people who are fellow pilgrims along the road as we are. And please, if you do have any questions or comments or anything that you would like us to discuss in the future, please don't hold back. Let us know in the comments section. We would very much like to enter into the conversation with you and maybe even explore some of the issues that you are dealing with in your lives, or perhaps you've got stories on ways in which you have been able to integrate masculine and feminine elements in your life. So, thank you very much once again for being with us. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, viewers. And we will see you again this time next week. Bye.